You've been talking about this guy for quite some time, 2 years into his tenure in Tampa Bay, and that is Alex Golesh in USF. Brad Crawford at 24/7 Sports, he put out his 10 daring predictions for college football season in 2024. How about this one? USF to the college football playoff. Now remember, we're expanding from 4 teams to 12 teams in 2024. We also have 5 auto bids, and that's going to be 4 of the Power 5 conferences and 1 group of 5 team as well. So Brad Crawford making the case for USF, and Drew, they return a lot. They're coming off a 7-6 season. You get the quarterback back, your leading receiver as well. Non-conference games. You got Alabama and you got Miami in the first 4 weeks of the season. What do you think? I know you're a big fan of these guys.
I didn't realize they had Miami on the schedule. I knew Alabama. I had that one circled for week 2. All right, Kalen DeBoer showing up in Tuscaloosa, but a ton of roster turnover. Cooper, me and you have talked about that secondary. You look at USF. What do they want to do? They want to throw the ball. Alex Golesh comes from that Josh Heupel tree. Byron Brown, the quarterback, that's a guy that the collective there in Tampa had a pony up for, and they're hoping to hold on to him. I was around some of USF staff a few weeks ago at a coaching clinic. They're fired up about him. Also get back their 2 leading wide receivers for me. But Cooper, if this is going to happen, they got to improve on the defensive side of the ball. USF 33rd in scoring offense last year, 112th in scoring defense. So they can put up points. But if they're going to make a run and maybe upset some of those teams, then they're going to have to figure it out. And I know they brought in some transfers, not a ton, but I think 5 guys in the secondary. So certainly interesting. And look, even if USF doesn't make a college football playoff bid, I think Alex Golesh is going to be a hot name next coaching cycle.
I'm glad you brought that up because I'm looking at USF. Another interesting nugget that Brad had in his article. USF was the only group of 5 program with a top 50 ranked recruiting class this past year in 2024. Drew, you have the pulse on the state of Florida a little bit, and if this were to come to fruition, even if it didn't, right, let's talk about a double-digit win team, hypothetically, for USF. Alex Golesh, you mentioned, going to be a hot name. What happens if Billy Napier doesn't make it out of 2024 in Gainesville? What do you think about that potential marriage, Alex Golesh, to the Florida Gators?
Well, it's an interesting one. I think if Florida were to open up, and we've had this conversation, kind of always go opposite of what you did. And Billy Napier had a ton of success there at Louisiana, a guy that came from the SEC. He had experience as a position coach. Golesh would feel a little bit like the same. So I haven't ran the calculations on that one in my head for Florida. But I think he's a guy that's, if Tennessee continues to win, right, he puts together another strong season. I can see him certainly getting linked to some of those top-end Power 4, remember, not Power 5 job openings.
Drew, I'm going to put you on the hot seat here. If you did have a pick today for who is going to be the group of 5 representative in the 2024 CFP, who would it be?
I don't know if I'm buying in USF. I think you got to look somewhere in the American potentially. But there's been a lot of turnover, some coaches and moving pieces. So I don't have a name. Do you have one? I have a hunch you're going to go with Tulane.
Yeah, I think the 3 that kind of stand out are Liberty, USF, and Tulane. I like Tulane a lot. I mean, Ty Thompson coming over from Oregon, I think that guy has a lot of ability. Mario Williams coming over from USC, the one-time transfer from Oklahoma. I think they're a really talented team. I think Willie Fritz put that roster in pretty good shape, even with the departures that they've had to the NFL and Michael Pratt moving on as well. I think Tulane's a ready-made spot to make a jump. I'm pretty fascinated in that storyline, what's going to play out there. USF certainly looking to make a charge here in 2024. Guys, we appreciate you joining us as always. You can find the Oyster Boys every Tuesday and Wednesday on the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel, 5 o'clock Eastern time. And if you're in the chat right now, I'll be in there. Make sure to like and subscribe. We appreciate you guys supporting the podcast.